Hey, everybody. Welcome to December's Gigabit demo call. Lindsay and I are coming to you live from the Benson Hotel lobby in beautiful Portland, where we've been for a week with Mozilla. And what we've got on tap for today's call is an update from a Chattanooga project, DevLearn. And happening right now in Kansas City is their Gigabit Workday. So I believe Carrie will be here in just a second to run down on that. But a little intro for DevLearn. They have been incredible troopers. We have trotted them out to every possible event we could have in Chattanooga. They have built this app, which they'll tell you is now available on the Google Play Store. It is an introduction to coding and learning how to code, gamified, made easy. It is the tool that is bridging the gap between kids, especially for whom mobile tablet is how they access the web, and this big idea of creating for it, making those connections in Chattanooga, making the gigabit aspect of what makes Chattanooga special relevant for parts of the community that wouldn't otherwise feel the impact. So I'm going to kick it over to Tim and Jonathan and let them tell you a little bit about DevLearn.
Hey, I'm Tim, and Jonathan's next to me. Jonathan, you want to start up the app itself? We'll show you guys the actual app. And normally this app would run on a tablet or a phone. So right now we have HTML and CSS, and then we're going to add JavaScript in the future. So what the app does is it kind of breaks down like learning and programming into these little chunks. So like it's kind of similar to Duolingo. So it breaks it down. So there's like a description on each lesson, and then it shows you like an example, and then you can click and see how the example would actually look in an actual web browser. And then immediately after each chunk, it gives you a quiz. Yeah, go ahead and do the next one so you can see how the, yeah. See what I mean? So it starts out with some vocabulary, but it quickly switches over to trying to code tags and things and makes it easy by coding through blocks. And that's the concept we use. And we just today, somebody completed all our lessons. That was kind of cool. And your friend, he created a site. He started up our site for learning, and then he created a real website page. Yeah, and also we got about 200 users now. We just launched last week though. Do you have anything else you wanna add, Jonathan?
Stats.
Stats. I just talked about stats.
We can show.
You want to show the stats?
Yeah.
Yeah, show how many people passed it. I have to do it?
I want to point out that I am one of the people who has passed at least a very basic lesson. But that is so exciting to hear how many users that you've got in this first week, which is incredible.
Absolutely. Guys, as you're talking about your stats, could you tell us a little bit about how Chattanooga's Gig Network has really helped you in the development of this project?
Yeah, actually, like a couple days before we launched, my MacBook crashed. I had to reinstall everything, so it was really nice to have it because then I literally re-download the entire. It was in my image for LSX, so it didn't take very long at all. What? Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had kind of a mess at the Creative Discovery Museum. We didn't have the best internet. We had some issues, so it's really nice when we have good internet because the app continues to connect, and actually every single question it logs the user response. So whenever the student answers any questions, it pulls and saves the response in the background. So having a good internet really helps in that regard.
Absolutely. So you don't have learners waiting for the next thing. They're immediately able to move on and continue to engage with your product, which is super exciting.
Exactly.
Are you guys pulling up something else? Awesome.
You see the stats? Yeah. Yeah, since we launched, this does not actually include Jeff's, because this is only since we launched. These are new launch stats. We've had
Very cool.
every single person that's tried the app, they've passed. Only 2 people failed the first time, and those 2 users, they retried, and now they passed as well.
That's awesome that you've seen that persistence and people retrying and re-engaging with the product. That's awesome. So guys, can I ask, what's your next move? How do you plan to spread the word about this project and get it out to more and more people?
We've been posting it on Reddit, on some of the educational subreddits, and that's our next move for moving it out. And then we're planning on developing an iOS version, so we're going to port this to iOS. That's our next steps.
That's awesome, guys. Well, we're really excited about it, and as Jeff said, it's available in the Google Play Store, DevLearn. So please, if you are interested, go download it, check it out. It's free, right? And I will post the link. Thank you, Jonathan, for sending that, so that you can all check it out. Jeff, do you have any questions about the projects, or how's your experience been with the tool?
I'm really excited about it. I'm excited to see, as you said in the statistics, the re-engagement, and what that can mean for this as a learning tool. You know, being able to, as I mentioned, I mean, the data, the streaming data on what people are, whatever their answer is, you can see where the problems are, what is more difficult. I know you guys tailored and retailored and tailored again the actual lesson plans. I know that has been kind of an interesting learning curve in terms of kind of what student needs are, what their baseline tolerance for failure is, what, you know, kind of all those pieces. So the work that's happened around creating this, I think, will be big, not just for the app, but how teachers work with code and pieces like that.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for showing it off, and we'll share that link out so that everyone can go and play and report bugs and ideas to you. Carrie, Keith, in Kansas City, do you want to talk a little bit about what you're doing today in Kansas City?
I do. Can everybody hear me? Okay, so this is kind of exciting. I'm at Google Fiber today, if you can see that in the background. We're at a Gigabit Workday, and I've kind of put myself in a corner so that hopefully everybody can hear me. But it's kind of exciting. We have Glenn Reichart from US Ignite here today, and we had this local powwow of community stakeholders within Kansas City, both funders, evangelists in gigabit development and application exploration, and those in the entrepreneurship and startup space. So we were really looking at helping to package community assets that help really enable more nurturing components in sourcing application development, creating a marketplace for gigabit development, and then putting out the kind of charting the plot points of how companies, organizations, technologists, and developers can really move along these pathways in a continuum. So it was really interesting to kind of leverage all of the different resources that we have locally to tell that story and to create that pipeline of opportunity for people in this space. So today we launched our day with that kind of stakeholder coalition discussion, and then we'll spend the next 8 hours kind of going through actual open work time on a number of different projects that have been seeded as civic engagement, healthcare development opportunities, public safety, transportation, and then of course education, which is a sweet spot that we have on the Mozilla Gigabit Fund side as we look at things through that particular lens. So there are 30 developers and people who have specific project concepts that they'll be working on today. And this is kind of the first workday in a series of workdays that will take place over the next several months across Gigabit communities, leading up to a much larger national multi-city hack event in late spring. I think we've got April or May as the time frame for that event. But what was interesting this morning is we listened to Glenn talk about creating this kind of Gigabit marketplace. I'm actually going to put a link to an open solicitation from the National Science Foundation for US Ignite Gigabit Application Development, as it might be applicable to people listening or to the DevDev folks, which was great to hear about your progress. I will certainly be sharing that out to the teams today. I think that's a great source of inspiration about what you've been able to model thus far, so that's very exciting, and I congratulate your work. I'm excited to look at that and play with that. But I'm going to put the link to that NSF solicitation so people can get a sense of the funding opportunity. I think it's got $600,000 in there. They're looking to invest in several applications that are exploring the use of gigabit technology and next generation advanced software networking within gigabit communities. So I'm going to put that in the chat. But we're excited to kind of look through the course of today. I was going to give you guys a sense of some of the projects that we're working on. We've got a couple of teams from Kansas City. Specifically the Gigabit Fund, the library project that was on last month's call talking about their urban design program that uses Minecraft in virtual environment, Oculus Rift programming. They're going to continue to develop their virtual reality platform more extensively using Unity and some other platforms. So they're kind of excited to get local technologists and developers to help them advance that project. And then we have a robotics platform that will be further exploring additional platforms in connected devices with robotics. And there's a great curricular tie-in with programming in the First Robotics League and the LEGO Mindstorms program, so that's exciting as well. Our library, Kansas City Public Library, is here to continue work on their software lending library. We've got some telemedicine applications that are looking for further exploration and development. We have an open data urban design platform that was a project in the second round of the Kansas City Mozilla Gigabit projects that is early stage design using city open data with a rich, visually complex tool to save money and time in early design phase for urban planning, and that actually is continuing to further develop their resources there. We have a citizen science project that is using DSLR cameras that will be explored further, and several others. And we will probably have some kind of report out on the progress made today that we can share publicly, which could create some additional points of conversation and interest in other gigabit communities. So we would love to be able to reach that out and showcase what the projects that have momentum and have progress today, and potentially what resources and things they're looking for, that we can continue to connect with other people in this space. So we'll be sure to share that on the event page too, so you've got access to some of those resources. But that's where we are today. It's which is making for an interesting call for us this morning, as I know Lindsay and Jeff are in Portland, outside of their home community, doing some additional hands-on work, and here in Kansas City we're all gearing up for what looks to be a very exciting Gigabit Workday. So thanks for listening.
That's awesome, Carrie. We're super excited to hear about what comes out of that as we think about what this event might look like in Chattanooga, to bring this to our own community. So definitely share out those resources both for us in Chattanooga and for other Gigabit communities. That's awesome. Jeff and I are distracted by the 1,200 Mozillians roaming around this town today, and who have been here this entire work week. So it's been a really, really exciting week for the Gigabit crew of Mozillians. Thank you guys. Thank you, DevLearn, for listening. And we will look forward to seeing you all next month.
Peace.